Hello students, welcome to the digital world. Now today we will do computer memory. In the series of fundamental of computers, we have already done input devices, output devices, how computers evolved, all the basic components of computers. Now computer memory is one of the basic components of computer without which you cannot use the computer. So a computer system needs memory to store the data and instructions for processing. Whenever we talk about the memory of a computer system, we usually talk about the main or primary memory. The secondary memory, also called storage device, is used to store data and instructions and results permanently and for future use. Now, units of memory. When you go to buy computers or mobile in market, now you will see there it is written RAM is this much MB, 4 MB, 8 MB. Then you will see hard disk is 16 TB. Now, what are all these things? These are the units of memory. A computer system uses binary numbers to store the process data. The binary digits 0 and 1, which are basic units of computer, are called bits. As you all know that it is a machine language, computer is a machine, and machine language, machine only understands on and off. That is, on is 1, off is 0. So here 2-digit number is called binary digits, B binary digits ITS. So bits, so basic unit of memory are called bits. Further, these bits are grouped together to form words. A 4-bit word is called a nibble. Example of nibbles are any 4 bits, you can take any combination of 4 bits. These are nibbles. Now a 2 nibble word, that is 8-bit word, is called a byte. Now this is very important. Byte is denoted by capital B. So capital B byte is equal to 8 bits or 2 nibble. For example, you can see the combination of 8 bits, that is combination of 0 and 1. Like any other standard unit, bytes are grouped together to make bigger chunks or units of memory. Now here you can see that when we store it, it will be in kilobytes, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte. Now how to check how much it is? Kilo, you all know, actually kilo is 1000, but in computer 2 to the power we take. So in computer 1 kilobyte equals to 1024 bytes. 1 megabyte equals to 1024 kilobyte, which is equals to 1024 into 1024 bytes. 1 gigabyte equals to 1024 megabyte. 1 terabyte equals to 1024 gigabytes. So when the conversion is asked in the question paper, if it is just one above it, you will write 1024. If it is written 1 terabyte equals to dash MB, now first you have to convert it into GB 1024, then into again 1024 will be converted into MB. So 1 TB equals to 1024 square MB. Now petabyte, 1 PB equals to 1024 TB, 1 exabyte equals to 1024 PB, 1 zettabyte equals to 1024 EB, 1 yottabyte equals to 1024 ZB. So here these are the conversions. Now maximum till now we have used yottabyte. So if it is asked 1 yottabyte equals to how many bytes? Now you all know 1 kilobyte equals to 1024 bytes. So if it is asked 1 yottabyte equals to how many bytes, you have to multiply all these to get to bytes. So it is here 4 and here 4. So 1 yottabyte equals to 1024 to the power 8 bytes. Clear? Now next is the different types of memory. Now there are so many different types of memories. Now in computer we use 2 types of memory. Let us see here. Human beings memorize many things over a lifetime. and recall from memory to make a decision or take some action. However, we cannot rely on our memory completely. So, we make notes and store important data and information using other mediums such as notebook, manual, journal, document, etc. for a long term storage. Similarly, computers have two types of memories, namely primary memory and secondary memory. Now, this is important. Two types of memories are primary memory and secondary memory. Primary memory is also called the internal or the main memory, and secondary memory is also called the external or storage devices. Now, a primary memory is an essential component of a computer system. Program and data are loaded into the primary memory before processing. The CPU interacts directly with the primary memory to perform read and write operation. It is of two types, RAM and ROM. RAM is random access memory and ROM is read-only memory. So you might have all heard about RAM and ROM chips. Black chips are there, or internal. When you will see, if anybody will open the computer, you might have seen how RAM looks and how ROM looks. I will show the picture. Doing Google search, I will show you the picture. Now, RAM is volatile, that is, as long as the power is supplied to the computer, it retains the data in it. But as soon as the power supply is turned off, all the contents of RAM are wiped out. So, whenever the power is switched off, RAM is empty. It is used to store data temporarily while the computer is working. Whenever the computer is started or a software application is launched, the required program and the data are loaded into RAM for processing. RAM is usually referred to as main memory and it is faster than the secondary memory or storage devices. So here we have learned that CPU cannot directly use the secondary memory or storage devices. CPU can only use directly RAM, but RAM is volatile. So whenever we are switching on the computer, our bootable softwares or our operating system gets loaded into RAM from the secondary storage device. On the other hand, ROM is non-volatile, means its contents are not lost even when the power is turned off. It is used as a small but faster permanent storage for the contents which are rarely changed. For example, the startup program bootloader that loads the operating system into RAM is stored in ROM. So here what is written, that ROM is read-only memory, it is non-volatile or permanent in nature, and in that we store the startup program, that is our bootloader that loads the operating system, that is Windows or whatever operating system you are using, into RAM. Now next is cache memory. RAM is faster than secondary storage but not as fast as a computer processor. Computer processes very fast. So because of RAM, a CPU may have to slow down. To speed up the operations of the CPU, a very high speed memory is placed between the CPU and the primary memory, known as cache. It stores the copies of the data from frequently accessed memory locations, thus reducing the average time required to access data from primary memory. When the CPU needs to access memory, it first examines the cache. In case the requirement is met, it is read from the cache, otherwise, the primary memory is accessed. So, this is your cache memory. Just to increase the speed of computer, CPU uses cache memory, which the data which is required instantly is stored in cache memory. Now next is your secondary storage devices. Now here you can see all the pictures of secondary or permanent storage device. So secondary storage devices are pen drive, hard disk, CD, DVD, memory card and tape drives. So we will go through this. Primary memory has limited storage capacity and is either volatile RAM or read-only ROM. Thus, a computer system needs auxiliary or secondary memory to permanently store the data and instructions for future use. The secondary memory is non-volatile and has larger storage capacity than primary memory. It is slower and cheaper than the main memory, but it cannot be accessed directly by the CPU. Contents of secondary storage need to be first brought into main memory for the CPU to access. Examples of secondary memory devices include hard disk drive, CD, DVD, memory cards, etc. However, these days there are secondary storage devices like solid state drive SSD which support very fast data transfer speed as compared to earlier hard disk drives. Also, data transfer between computers have become easier and simpler due to the availability of small sized and portable flash or pen drives. So these days we are using solid state drives which are very fast than our hard disk drive. Now, data capturing, storage, and retrieval. Obviously, in memory, we are storing it after reading the data from the input devices. And when we want to display on the screen, so we'll retrieve the data from the memory and we will display on the screen. To process the data, we need to first input or capture the data. This is followed by its storage in a file or a database so that it can be used in the future. Whenever data is to be processed, it is first retrieved from the file database so that we can perform further actions on it. Next is data capturing. Now, from any input device, you can capture the data. So, it involves the process of gathering data from different sources in digital form. So, we are gathering or collecting the data from different sources. Data may be captured using keyboard, barcode readers, used as shopping outlets, as shown in figure. Now, here you might have seen in shopping malls, big bazaars, like this barcode reader is there which will read the barcodes. Remote sensors on earth orbiting satellites, etc. Comments posts over multiple social media are also captured as data. So there are many different methods to capture the data. Sometimes heterogeneity among data sources makes data capturing a complex task. Now next is your data storage. We are storing in the memory. It is a process of storing the captured data from processing for processing later. So we will store the data after capturing it for processing later. Nowadays, data is being produced at a very high rate and therefore data storage has become a challenging task. However, the decrease in the cost of digital storage devices has helped in simplifying this task. There are numerous digital storage devices available in the market as shown. So, we are storing all the data in pen drive, in compact disc, in DVDs, or we can store in the memory card. So, there are so many methods to store the data. Data keeps on increasing with time. Hence, the storage devices also require to be upgraded periodically. In large organizations, computers with larger and faster storage called data servers are deployed to store vast amount of data like bank server is the SBI server, for railways IRCTC and all we are doing our reservations, so railway server is there. So there huge vast amount of data are stored. Such dedicated computers help in processing data efficiently. However, the cost, both hardware and software, of setting up a data server as well as its maintenance is high, especially for small organizations and startups. Data retrieval. How to retrieve the data? It involves fetching data from the storage devices for its processing as per the user requirement. As databases grow, the challenges involved in search and retrieval of the data is in acceptable time also increase. Minimizing data access time is crucial for faster data processing. Clear? So we are retrieving the data and it should be faster and the data should be secured. Next topic is data deletion and recovery. Now, by mistake, if any data gets deleted, now how to recover it? So, it is given in this how to recover the data. Normally, what happens by mistake, if we delete it, then normally we go to the recycle bin and we try to recover the data. So, these all are the NCERT notes. I will be pasting the notes in the description. You go through the description, note down in your copy. So today we have completed memory, computer memory, two types of memory, primary memory and secondary memory. So I think you all have understood it. So thank you. Have a nice day.